Okay. I'm Tim Bradner. We're at the University of Alaska Fairbanks at the second day of the Governor's Conference on Alaska Sustainability and Our Financial Future. I'm with Jane Anvik. Jane has lived in the state for many years, done a lot of different things, including being involved in state government, local government, a lot of public affairs activities, and has actually done something like this physical sustainability conference many years ago with a group called with an exercise called the Alaska Public Forum. But I'll get back to that in just a minute. Jane, you've been involved in the discussions about budget issues and the revenue options. What are you hearing people talk about here at this meeting?
Well, I think that the biggest value of this meeting for Alaska is that it clarifies that we have a financial problem, and then it gives us tools about how we deal with it. So the dimension of our problem is we have a $3 billion hole, which is a lot in a $5 billion budget. And so we have to try and figure out how we're going to pay for it. Not just this year, but next year and the year after and the year after. And we've been very fortunate to have had some savings accounts like the Constitutional Budget Reserve account or the Permanent Fund Earnings account or other funds of money that we've been able to help us for the last probably 8 years. But we're going to start running out of that money. So how are we going to pay for our government? And the first exercise here was pretty good, which is cut the budget. And people struggled with that for yesterday, trying to figure out how to reduce the budget more and how to reduce services, because this money is all about, it turns into police officers, or it turns into the courts, or it turns into services that people get from the government, like education. So it's not just an intellectual construct. That number actually has services connected to it. So can you cut the budget? Can we cut our way out of this problem? And the answer is no. We can't cut our way. We could, the Commissioner of Revenue and the people who put together the state budget said if you could lay off all the state employees and not give any money to education or the university, we would still have a problem. And that's just for how we manage our stuff. So we got a problem. How do we solve it? And the good news is that this focuses on what are our options, what are our tools. And some of the tools is be able to be creative with the money we do have. Some possibilities is to tax ourselves. And in Alaska, that's un-American.
We don't pay any taxes.
And so we used to. I know that, Tim, you've lived here when we paid income taxes and we paid for school taxes. And so maybe we have to think about reintroducing an income tax for Alaskans to help pay for the government that we have. There's also issues about should we restructure taxes on other agencies. So should the mining industry be paying more taxes? Should the tourism industry be paying more taxes? Should Alaskans be paying more taxes? But a tax is really our investment in our education system, or our investment in our roads, or our investment in public safety. So should we be participating in that? And I think we're at the place now where we have to.
Are you hearing in the conversations you're hearing, do people seem willing to accept this now, begin to accept this now?
Well, in the groups that are here, people are very actively talking about the income tax. But I think what we also had was a day and a half of preparation, of people talking about what the dimensions of the problem are. And so I think that what we have to do going forward is really engage Alaskans in a conversation about this stuff, because it's not an intellectual construct. It's actually real life people whose lives are going to be affected by it.
Jane, I have to say, I want to get back to the Alaska Public Forum. Many years ago, when I first knew you were directing a group called the Alaska Public Forum, which was part of the governor's, did something very similar to this, broken up into many small forums that were held around the state. And maybe that's on a wide variety of issues, some of them quite arcane, like using royalty oil, things like that. And I was always amazed at how people in the diverse groups that we put together came together with a consensus. Now, do you think something like that will happen here?
Well, I think that we have to have a way for talking to Alaskans about our future. And at that time, the Trans-Alaska Pipeline was under construction, and Governor Jay Hammond had this idea that maybe as the pipeline is completed and oil income starts flowing to the state of Alaska, and the reason it flows to the state of Alaska is because the land from Prudhoe Bay is owned by the state. So how we get money from oil is, number one, as a royalty, which is an owner. The owner of a book gets a royalty for the sale of every book. In our case, the owner of the land gets a royalty for the share of leasing the land to be able to be developed. So we have royalties, and then the other thing is you tax it as it goes by. So Jay Hammond said, should we save a portion of that money that comes in one time? It's a non-renewable resource. You take it out of the ground, it's gone, and that money that comes from it comes in once, and should just this generation of people who are here be the only people who are the beneficiaries, or should we save a portion of it and create a permanent fund? So I was working for Jay Hammond at the time, and we created a structure going across the state of Alaska saying, I don't know, you guys, what do you think? Should we save 25% of the money that comes in and make sure that future generations of Alaskans, which is about now, should be able to participate in that? And so we did go to large communities, small communities, and hold meetings like this one where we actually asked people, what do you think about that question? And as a result, I think the governor received some public support for the idea when it came to the legislature being asked to create that kind of an initiative.
The Alaska Permanent Fund. Well, it's interesting, we're at the other end of that now.
Yes.
Revenue's declining, oil production is declining, and we're trying to reinvent something that we started with many years ago. Anyway, Jane, thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, Tim Bradner, thank you for joining us.